credit emerging market sovereign debt issues?
We're looking at both markets, but very specific areas of both of them. I'll talk about high yield first. High yield, our view is that you have to keep things in balance. The first thing is that we don't want to go too low in the capital structure or go too low down into where high yield corridors are very low on the rating scale. In that those bonds, you have to really have a very special situation, a very high degree of specialty to assess those. We're looking more at what we call the upper echelon high yield names that are more liquid issuers, where you have liquidity, you can still trade around and take advantage of opportunities. Looking at some of the bonds that might be rated BB, who we think their rates have been low, they're refinancing, they can get upgraded. So we think the upper end of high yield, the higher quality high yield, if you will, makes a lot of sense. We've also found that a lot of negative headwinds in emerging markets has caused valuations on emerging market corporate debt to sell off in sympathy with, let's say, the sovereign debt or that country's national debt. But at the same time, if you look at a manufacturer in Brazil who, let's say, exports communications equipment or oil and gas, their exposure economically is to many other economies, not just Brazil. But because they're in Brazil, the debt is cheapened significantly. So those opportunities we think are very attractive.
I actually want to do a step back for a moment and do a little investing 101 for people who, everyone was always high on emerging markets because you can have outsized returns. Perhaps an explanation is in order on why some of these emerging market stocks, even though you're not a stocks guy, are trailing, where the debt is actually potentially a better opportunity for return. What's happening on the balance sheet side of things, I guess, that makes EM debt worth taking a look at?
Well, something that's very important to keep in mind is that economically, the world is global now. Interest rates are global interest rate markets, not just the U.S. interest rate market or the Japanese interest rate market. Developed markets have had very low yields and yield-hungry investors at the same time. So to fill the gap in between what we want and what we can get, we have to look at other opportunities. So emerging market, whether it be let's say their version of a treasury, their government debt, or a corporate bond, let's say their version of an AT&T or a Verizon needs to borrow money, they can borrow it in the U.S. market from U.S. investors. We get paid a premium for that. We earn a higher interest rate, but relative to the interest rates that they were receiving on their own debt market, their own local currency, their own currency denominated debt, they're able to still save a lot of money. So the balance sheets of these emerging market corporates and also the emerging market economies as a whole start to look a lot better. So we see that in emerging markets, the debt itself tends to lead a rally and equity tends to follow. So the debt has attracted a lot more investors to start.